Welcome back to episode 10 of my Age of Wonders 3 2-unit challenge series, where it's these 2 units against 5 Emperor AI opponents. This was a nail biter this turn. I've got to show you this battle. So I met my opponents, but before I talk about them, I ran into the Necromancer here. This is crazy. So a lot of these guys are ghouls, right? These 2 are not yet Lich Kings or Lich Heroes, so they are flesh and you can use the life drain mechanic, but these you can't. So it was very scary. I think you know most of my items. Up to 95, it's beautiful. I needed every single ounce of it though. The sweet, sweet weapon, which may or may not have been better than this. I'm not quite sure. But a lot of these things are familiar. 95, 14, 15. Let's see, my resistances here. So some of these, like the fire, are useful given the opponent I was up against. And over here, I had this equipped with the shock. Does a better job of dealing with the undead. Getting a nourishing meal out here, not only for the heal, but for the boost morale. That's why that's coming in. Flying mount is really useful, but I think most of this is similar. So 85, 16, and 2 with a little bit less robust protections. So check this out. I did not play this very well. I needed to run, do a much better job of running so I could get my buffs in place. But the thing I was nervous about is them disjuncting my stuff. It's not only these heroes, but the other stuff. So I'm like, nah, I'll just try and get this guy out of the way. So they trying to dispel. They're going to have a much better chance next turn. Already taking range damage. I do plenty of damage with the shock stuff, but a fair amount of damage to the resistance, and I'm immolated at the moment. So I'm getting real nervous. So they're moving in. So I put I cast Stone Skin and get the heal. So pretty tanky, but with just 14 resistance, the shock really tears through it. And even with this, doing some decent damage. And the thing is, I'm not getting lifesteal, right? Because these are undead. So this is really where the strategy that can help you deal with large masses of units really breaks down. But, I have Resurgence, so I'm like, okay, things should go okay. So I come up here and use my touch heal. And I say, I want to get in their face to stop them from doing the ranged. Now, unfortunately, that goes away. And so he's a lot more vulnerable. This guy gets big damage. So that heal on him was really costly. Super costly. He breaks away with just some damage. These guys are coming in. So I was like, what do I do? He is trapped, but I can phase. So how am I going to play this? So I'm like, I'm going to go back here. So I'm only having to face 1 unit. Shadow Step, get in this guy's face. I cast Stone Skin from a distance again. And I know that this guy will come in. This is unfortunate. Such a strong cadaver. So he is low. He's going to die next turn. So I'm like, okay. So he's doing okay, but I hope he doesn't get dispelled. They've got him surrounded. Thankfully, the two guys who do ranged are next to him. So I'm like, I can't lose this guy, so I'm going to resurge. And I know that he'll be killed. Right? So I'm down to one hero. That guy's gone. No more spells. Really scary. Crit hit, not what you like to see. So thankfully they double stack. So they're doing chip damage, right? He's at 30. They're all getting on there, which is pretty efficient, but they're hesitant to move, right? So I'm like, okay. So he jumps. So he's getting out here to do some range damage. He did take a nasty hit, but my shadow step is up, and I'm like, I need to find a place I can heal. How am I going to do this? Because he can just ranged attack me with this, and it's not going to be good. So slowly getting down. This guy comes in. Look at that. I needed every single one of those 85 HP hit points, right? So I'm like, okay, time to run. And I'm a little slower with the stone skin, right? And then shadow step to give myself some space to heal. Devour corpse, whatever. Some ranged shock damage. Unfortunate. Back down to 14 after having healed. So gun, it's like, I cannot. I don't know what to do. And so I'm like, I'm going to stay away from the massive troops. Get up in his face and do an attack like this. I was really hoping to kill him, but I did not. So I'm thankful he was at a distance. Shaken is not great, but at least I had enough of a happiness thing. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm at 7. They're up in my face now. He can't move or he'll die, right? Because the first attack is key. So I'm like, okay, I'll create more space. I really want to go in for the attack to reduce the range damage dealer. Now he gets in a hit. 4 now. This is the big concern. Now the thing is, if they attack, he's gone, right? But they figure if I attack, he might do enough damage to me to end me. And so the AI is being really weird. So I'm like, okay, they didn't attack. And I can't be flanked, although the defense is a lot down. That sucked. But I'm glad I healed because I needed it, right? I do massive damage to him, and I'm like, I might actually win this. Oh my God. And these guys are in my face, but this is a problem because he's got ranged. So I get up in his face. So I am able to get some life drain from that. Now at this point, I'm like, this is so weird. I have to be super careful. Am I just going to wait? Or are they going to, because I'm worried about this guy because he could attack, I hurt. And then he gets in another attack. Casting stiffened limbs from a distance. At this point in the battle, I don't know why, just because they finally think they need it. But it's like this standoff. And I'm like, okay, nobody's attacking because of my first strike. Like, first strike proved to be so essential. So I was able to cheese out the heal here. And I was like, okay, have 5 turns gone by? And finally I'll attack, but prevent the, not that it matters with the total awareness, but like, okay, at this point, we'll go in. So yeah, 3 damage there. So I guess they figured when I had 4 hit points, if they would attack with 3, they may not kill me outright. So crazy, right? Bonkers. But because I won, researched guy comes back, and that's pretty sweet. That can be put on either the leader or the secondary hero, and it will spread to both. Inflict Dazzled's great. This will be great for at end of turns. More floating boots, which is great. Nourishing meal, super great for the buff. and a little bit of a different sort of range damage. So some decent artifacts there. Working on that, which will mean that this sort of thing is a lot more useful for recovering if I want to start doing that. But that battle was crazy. What else do we need to talk about? I had this was the first lost city. This was not terribly interesting. I was a little concerned about this guy, but as long as your health stays above 50 HP, he won't be able to do anything. So here I just meat grind them completely. All right, so just tearing through them, easy peasy. Monster Slayer being useful. So it was just kind of fun to see. I was not scared at all, especially with the physical resistance there. But the big thing is we met these people, right? And so who are we up against? So we've got Draconian Necromancer. So that's the Necromancer who I just engaged in battle, which was very scary. So I'm like, oh god, I do not want more of those battles. That really sucked. I want to take that person out. We've got a Dwarf Theocrat, which doesn't suck as bad as a Dreadnought, but still sucks because their Shrines of Smiting can prove very difficult. They're very difficult machines to deal with, especially with that range damage. So I'm thinking that I need to be forging stuff that gives fire and shock resistance because of their Divine Vengeance ability. Thankfully, the good thing about going up against Theocrat is that with my Warlord at the helm, I have the 100% Spirit Protection, so that will be very useful at handicapping a lot of the damage that they tend to do. And it takes the spirit damage out of the shock bolt, the ranged prayer bolt, smiting bolt things from the Shrines of Smiting. So I just have to make sure I can buff up the fire protection, which I'm on my way to here already, and no progress on her yet. So I'm thinking about item forging strategies for that. High Elf Dreadnought, so that's the first Dreadnought. This was the Archdruid down there. And then Dwarf Dreadnought is got to be the person underground, because dwarfs like to start underground half the time. And looks like dwarven structure, so it makes sense. So 2 Dreadnoughts, 1 Necromancer, and 1 Theocrat are all more difficult people to face off against. So I just hope I can go really fast, but it's very interesting to meet them. And yeah, I'm so glad that I did not lose the campaign in this battle, because as you could see there, it was super, super close. But I'm going to keep heading underground, go down underground through here, and take out their capital. So yeah, that's the plan. So this has been episode 10. Hope you found that fascinating. We'll see you in episode 11.